All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game number three, just about to get started. St. Clair looked pretty solid in game number one. However, Queens absolutely flipped it on its head for game number two after St. Clair tried a bit of a different team composition. Queens not having none of it. Now, Tommy, what on earth should we expect going into game number three, considering the absolute shutdown we saw from Queens in game two?
I I think if St. Clair want to play the Lily again, they might opt out to ban the Graves because the Graves has just been so impactful in shutting down the Lilia.
And we'll have to take a look as some of the bans and picks have just gotten underway once again. Similar bans, or pretty much the exact same bans actually, going on both sides so far. But Queen's opting for the Kindred first. And then Lilia, once again, we're going to see Trick on that. And the Caitlyn this time is going over to Lazi.
Queens do have the potential of picking up Yumi Ezreal here if they so choose to.
Poke for days if that manages to happen. But, I mean, we've seen Tanxus constantly this entire set performing very well on the Camille, especially in game number two. He's going to pick that up once again. The tried and true Shen pick here for Frez as well. And we're going to see, or we had seen Ezreal get picked up here for Queens. So this will be the third different AD carry that they're going to be rolling with tonight.
St. Clair could also, yeah.
Okay, they instantly get rid of
here,
it.
yeah. They could also ban out the Silas here too, because last game in game two, the Silas got so much gold that they could not stop the Silas.
Yeah, Triple Valued was actually doing a fantastic job as well. Was just constantly dueling Yule there in the mid lane. For the most part, it was relatively even, but especially once it got to the team fight phase, it felt like I was screaming the praises of Valyard constantly that entire game. So, would not be surprised to see them take that away. Is this a no ban coming out here from Queens?
Looks like no. It should be a ban if Queens didn't manage to lock it in time. We'll know for sure once we get into champ select on the actual client itself.
Mm-hmm. I'm very curious, as not very many teams opt for that kind of thing. Galio going to get taken off the board, so just not going to allow Valyard to make the long range plays. I would assume if they do that, that they're not opting for Twisted Fate then.
St. Clair mainly banned the Galio just because of the Camille, as I mentioned in game one.
Right.
And looks like Queens is gonna look to take away Bard from Yansfa.
Yeah, taking away one of his playmaking supports, but he's probably not going to bring Pantheon back if I were to guess. I'd be very surprised if they do.
Kaylin or St. Clair do have the option of picking up the Morgana first pick here in second draft phase, but they're gonna opt in for the Lulu instead.
Interesting.
No, this could also be a flex mid lane as well, but I don't think Yul would be very happy playing a utility mid laner.
Right, we usually see him on like, assassins or playmakers. Meanwhile, Lulu is, I mean, like a defensive playmaker, but yeah, as you were saying, that is not a Yule character in the slightest. So it would be a big change up if they do opt for that. Tristana, the
that
flex
should
possibly?
be Tristana. No, that is Tristana mid lane.
Okay, here I am thinking that was probably going to be Ez in the mid lane, but Trist in the mid lane. Interesting.
Yeah, she just has so much dueling power early on with her explosive on her E.
And then one more pick. I think we're still missing a support here. Ileona. So aggression is on the board for Queens.
A lot of heavy engage coming from the side of Queens. It'll be interesting to see what St. Clair decide to do to counteract that. They already have the Lulu to counteract most of the engage onto whoever Queens decide to focus fire.
Now
and
that is a Yule champion if I've ever seen one. And they are going to lock it in. So yeah, that's going to be Yone on, or Yule playing the Yone. We're probably going to see Miensfo on the Lulu.
I don't think we've seen a Yone since the first preseason match.
That'd be correct. Yeah, I think it was either game two, would have been game two or three that Yone was brought out. I believe it was successful, but it was just that one game.
Well, St. Clair having a lot of AD damage coming from their lanes, but they do also have Lilia for magic damage as well.
Very true.
But I just realized Queens has a triple ADC comp with a hyper scaling carry top laner. So they essentially have 4 carries, well, 3 carries, a carry bruiser on the Camille, and Leona as their only tank.
Yeah, how the Leona is going to be able to try and protect everybody. I mean, at least you got Kindred, which he pops the ult down, nobody can die inside it, right? So that if you can keep everybody in there, I guess that's one way to tank, just not die. But they're playing on a razor's edge if you're trying to do that one. And it looks like we're going to actually be taking the briefest of breaks going into game number 3. A couple of the players on Queens needs a moment or two. So a couple of last thoughts here in regards to the team compositions. I always ask, what are we looking at in regards to scaling? I feel like this time it's St. Clair on a timer because, of course, the multiple AD carries on the side of Queens. I feel like the later this goes, people could just get popped in the end. Am I wrong thinking that?
I think St. Clair have the edge here in terms of scaling with their team composition.
Okay.
Because you have the Shen as your only tank, then you have the Lulu to back him up and give him additional combat stats with the ulti. Not to mention you have Yule on the Yone as well, who can get into the backline, and if he pops off, he just shreds Queens with all that crit damage.
Fair enough. And actually, I am a liar. Whatever break they needed, they did it extremely quickly. So we're just going to confirm now as to where everybody is actually being played. And we'll get to see what that one ban was.
Rapid fire bans, go!
And then just to reiterate, so you were saying it's going to be Tristana in the mid lane, just because does a better job harassing compared to Ezreal?
Yeah, Ezreal mid lane doesn't really have much impact if you try and play aggressive, unless you're playing into a melee mid laner. Then Ezreal can be very effective with just his auto attacks and his mystic shots.
But at that point, you can pick basically any AD carry, and it'd be the same idea, though, right?
Yeah. But I have a feeling that Frez wait, oh, okay, I got both teams mixed up. Am I going crazy or just me? I swear Trick picked up Lilia, or I'm just going crazy. I think I'm going crazy.
Hang on a minute. Yes, so we might have got baited by our pro draft. This is why we double checked. This is why I put the client in anyway, even though we did the picks and bans via pro draft. Because I think after that ban or whatever kind of got messed up, it completely glitched. So the other ban that we did not see was a Syndra ban. That's fine. We've seen that the entire match so far. They did not want Yule to have that pick. But oddly enough, it's going to be the swap on the junglers, so it's actually St. Clair with the Kindred.
My brain tickles just a tad bit.
No, I definitely do not blame you, because we got completely baited, possibly finding a bit of a bug in the pro draft system, but that's okay. As long as the players all know what's up, we're just along for the ride here on stream, right? So okay, so what does this change? So the long range engage that we were relying Trick for this entire set has been taken by the other side and opting for Kindred instead. Do you know how much practice we've seen Trick on the Kindred? Because I don't think we've seen it all season.
I think we've seen it in one game, and he's very comfortable on that Kindred.
Okay, this makes me happy.
So, but now looking at both teams, since it is completely turned around,
It's weird. It was just that one roll. Only jungler was messed up.
Queens have so much engage with Lilia and Leona that if St. Clair aren't careful, then they might lose team fights very easily. So I
Yeah,
won't be surprised to see if Lazi runs cleanse this game, and then Mienzo rushing a Mikhail's Crucible for Lazi.
yeah. I could imagine people just getting extremely or picked off extremely quickly on the side of St. Clair if Leona just essentially touches them. Give them the old 3 tap and you're gone. But
Well, that is given if
yeah,
Trick is not in position to save whoever gets caught out with Queen's University's engage.
yeah. But we're basically like with such a heavy, aggressive, engaged composition coming out here from Queens to have to rely on either a Kindred ult coming out in time, being on cooldown, ready in position to save you, or rely on a Shen ult to come out in time and save you. Or, oh, I guess you got Lulu as well, so a shield and then her ulti as well to save you. There is some answers, but the fact that so many of them rely on ultimates kind of makes me nervous on the side of St. Clair.
Yeah, they pretty much have a pretty utility heavy team comp with Lulu, Shen, and what was the last champion again? Kindred? Yeah,
Kindred,
Kindred with her ulti. But Kindred, the only difference is Kindred does damage compared to the other two.
which is true. Yeah, so Kindred can pump out a little bit of damage as well. It's not completely relied on Yule and Lassie to get some eliminations, but even still, it just makes me nervous. In a good way, of course. I'm looking forward to this matchup. Of course, seeing 2 conflicting styles. And it's, of course, a different style that we've seen from Queens in the past couple games. Compared to the bot lane they had before, where it was just like, I shield you, we farm, we poke, and wait for our jungler. This one, they're looking to take things into their own hands, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Ezreal Leona is a interesting duo in the bot lane because Ezreal just wants to farm, whereas Leona wants to engage early on. So if they don't look for anything early on, Queens might be in for a rough ride on the bot lane for a little bit until Leona hits 6.
Yeah, they're kind of, I guess they are kind of forcing their hand a little bit to like force an engage of some sort, get ahead that way. Otherwise, Leona's just going to get poked out constantly in lane. Because yeah, if Caitlyn Lulu can do one thing, it's poke. So they gotta
And
engage without getting poked too much and just go for it and try to get themselves a quick lead. Whether that involves the jungler to come down as well. We'll have to see what kind of plays they feel like making here on the side of Queens.
and since St. Clair banned out the Yuumi in the second ban phase, Ezra just has no real way of getting additional sustain from his support.
That is true.
And I did call it too. Lazi is running cleanse this game for the Leona and the sleep as well, coming from Nini on that Lilia.
Definitely wise, especially up against, like we were saying, the hard engage bot lane. Being able to cleanse at least one thing of CC would be extremely clutch. But you can hear it. Game number 3, the decider between St. Clair and Queen's University, getting started right now.
Lazi also opting for an aggressive keystone with the lethal tempo instead of the fleet footwork. So the poke coming from Wilson might stick a little bit more, but he'll be able to get off more auto attacks onto Wilson.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
And it looks like neither team are looking to do anything fishy this game. Just
I mean,
looking for a standard 5-point.
I'm still holding my tongue right here because this is essentially what we saw last time, and then, oh yeah, nothing crazy happening level 1, and then they invade.
Well, that's also with Queens knowing that they were invading as well, and they split the map in half essentially.
Right.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, and invade more so to steal rather than to engage. And I mean, I guess you don't really want to try and engage up against a Leona. I feel like that could be a bad time.
But it looks like both junglers opting to start out on their right sides of the map this time for once. So far, this game is looking like a pretty standard game.
Yeah, no invades or anything in the slightest, and then we're going to have to see if here on the Queen side, if the game plan is relatively similar. Are they going to just keep backing up Tanxus this entire game? Or not this entire game, but at least early in the game, like we've seen before? Or
But
would there being additional... Oh, go ahead.
Looks like the bot lane coming from Queens got an early ward onto Trick's blue buff, so that should spot him out right there.
Yeah, some good information going on the side of Queens. Of course, knowing where he's at is going to be critical. However, we do have the engage in the mid lane. This explosion is going to try and even things up. A heal burns early here from Valyard.
I think that might give you a window to look for a level 2 or 3 kill onto Triple Valyard here.
Valyard actually opting to back, so a very early back here for Valyard.
He only has enough gold for the refillable though.
Yeah. Just going to lose a little bit of CS in the process to go get those potions.
And as you mentioned earlier, Daniel, looks like St. Clair's bot lane is just poking away at Wilson and Emma. It looks like
scary.
Trick is here as well.
They're actually going to engage right on the Trick, and he's going to give his life away instantly. A little bit of an over-aggressive play, possibly. Lassy's going to kill Wilson off, but I'm really looking to try and turn this around, maybe catch him underneath the turret. But it's going to eventually turn into the 1v1, or the 1-4-1, rather, and the buffs are just going to go over to Lassie.
Both teams trading 1-for-1, but I'm pretty sure this favors the side of St. Clair ever so slightly, because Wilson is going to have a slight EXP deficit now compared to Lassie.
Yeah, very true, and Lassie's Caitlyn is now going to be poking you with red buff damage, as if it wasn't already hard enough. But up in this top lane here, a little bit baited, actually. Tanks is going to be possibly going down, maybe just barely hanging on. But we do have the engage in the bot lane. Lassie going to be the first one picked up, but the exhaust onto Wilson is going to allow us to turn 1-for-1. Miansper with the chase. The trap actually coming in clutch right now from Lassie. It's going to let Miansper keep on poking. We're not going to see it through, though, as Triple Valyard also gets ganked in the mid lane. But Amarelia barely going to hang on for his life.
Very sluggish game. Game 3, rather, should I say, compared to actually no, last game was even more sluggish than this.
I was gonna say, you're calling this sluggish. Like, there is action. It feels clunky to me. Like, some of the plays don't feel very, not that they're not thought out, but seem very instinctive.
They're not like optimal plays. They're more like suboptimal, to say the least.
Yeah, there's action all over the place. Is it optimal? Absolutely not. However, we got action nonetheless, and it's going to give us a good game 3 here. The most minute of gold leads for St. Clair, but that's nothing. It's only 200.
Lassie just has such a big item lead onto
that's
onto
actually kind of
Wilson
brutal.
here. BF sword compared to a sapphire crystal.
And then with Trick making his way up top, it's going to scare Tanxus into a flash. But we have another engage down on the bot lane, right onto Lassie. May have had a fantastic start, however, looking for one more shot. Wilson going to be getting 3 eliminations nice and quick, and they're going to pass some gold over to Nini as well. This bot lane looked like it was starting off pretty good for St. Clair, but now, instead of the top lane for once, Nini's been focusing this bot lane, and it's been paying off for him.
St. Clair just walking up too far, especially Lassie, without his summoners as well, especially the cleanse. The cleanse is very important for him to get away from that Leona.
I mean, we said we needed these guys down bot for Queens to make engages quick before they got poked out. And that's exactly what they've done. They've had the help from Nini as well, and they've been able to turn this lane, which was looking to be a little bit iffy, into so far a relatively successful one. 3 eliminations on the board here for Wilson, even though he may be behind a little bit on CS. If you're getting eliminations, I guess it doesn't really matter.
His steer's a little late though, compared to.
He did just pick that up, right?
Yeah, to when you want it. You want to initially buy on your first back, but he opted to buy the call instead, and I think he bought boots as well.
Interesting, different reroute. We'll have to see where that takes him as this game goes on. And there's the engage from Valyard. Bomb onto Yule. No chance right there. Valyard with the solo kill. Made that one look easy.
It really was just a Doran's Blade difference. He had 1 extra Doran's Blade over Yule, and that might have been the difference between him. Actually, not even. It was just a one-side pick coming from Triple Valyard.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, Valyard was still like half HP, so it was like Yule was a combo behind or something in that situation. Like something just missed. But yeah, as soon as that bomb went off, it was just curtains there for Yule.
I'm surprised that Yule opted to go for the Doran's Blade instead of the shield early on for the extra sustain.
Right, you know you're up against the poke lane where the Triss is just going to constantly just be pelting you with auto attacks. So yeah, normally a shield would be your option in that, right?
Indeed, especially with the runes or with fleet footwork, you just have so much sustain. And it looks like Frez missing the taunt onto Tanxus.
I mean, that was an awkward spot to begin with, to be completely honest. Like, you're like halfway pushed in to their turret. Even if you would have landed the taunt by the time Trick got there, it may not have been enough time to really follow up properly without diving. So, a little optimistic from Trick there, I think.
Trick pulling the trigger on that Herald. He might know that that Nini is bot side. But Tanxus is actually out of mana here. He should look for reset soon once his TP comes up.
Yep, he's trying to actually go for it right now, even before the TP gets ready. Just gonna opt to walk back to lane. And Frez kind of faked it a little bit.
Yeah. He needs to shove that wave in so it wouldn't freeze in front of Camille's tower.
And we can actually see a bit of a change in attitude here in this bot lane. Wilson not afraid to go by himself and just go for some poke, using his E like very aggressively compared to just sitting back and firing off mystic shots.
I mean, the Leona is level 6, so their engage is extremely dangerous for St. Clair to be walking up in the bot lane. Because if Queens' bot lane manages to get some out of Lazi, then they can look for a repeat gank onto him later on.
Dragon set up, or this little engage in the river on the mind here for St. Clair. They're all going towards mid for the time being, just going to get the scuttle and move on probably, but a little bit odd, a little bit of indecisiveness I feel coming out from St. Clair.
They just wanted to secure the mark for Trick for his passive to get additional damage.
That is a thing. Yes, I totally forgot about the Kindred marks. See, this is
Last time I checked, Kindred gets additional range. I think after 10 stacks or something like that. I don't play Kindred myself too much. I wouldn't know.
Hey, this is good. This is why you help me here every single week, reminding me of all of these little nuances. And I appreciate it greatly.
But Frez, with the early Bramble Vest and Ninja Tabbies for Tanxus, making him extremely hard to kill. But he's still susceptible to magic damage coming from Nini, though.
Very true. It just feels like
Tanks is lurking in the bush. But considering that he's at half HP, I don't think he's looking for anything cheeky in particular.
I was just gonna say, is Tanks actually gonna go for this? No, he's just gonna kind of poke and then walk away. And it just feels like Tanks, compared to the last couple games, is actually being left alone compared to the last two, where we saw majority of the time it was trying to get him ahead. But as I was talking about that, St. Clair managed to get all the vision they need and take care of a Mountain Drake.
Game 1, Queens did try and get Tanks ahead, but game 2, it was a forced, you say, lane priority because of the vertical jungling coming from the side of St. Clair.
Right.
In game 2. But it looks like Lazi with the fairly early Infinity Edge at 12 minutes. It's kind of early for an Infinity Edge.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
But we do have Wilson opting to buy the Ninja Tabi second item after his Man Immune.
Interesting. So, if he does manage to get himself in the situations where he's like trading up against Lazi, of course, adding a little bit of extra armor on there might give him that extra edge. And we do have a Herald coming out. Is that in the mid lane? I do believe.
That should be for mid lane.
There it goes.
Trick is there.
Yeah, but they got to be careful. They're possibly going to get themselves engaged on. The Leo ult coming out, going right under the turret, right into Frez, however, showing up with the Stand United. Going to at least shut that play down. So, kind of evens itself off for the time being. Some decent damage done to the tower plates in the mid lane by Shelly. But otherwise, that was about all that went down.
Good job. Coming from St. Clair, looking to... Oh
my goodness, that almost
Yule.
worked. Why would you do this?
The return on his E.
Oh my gosh, that's a forehead moment if I've ever seen it, unfortunately. We got the teleport coming out from Frez to try and stop this. However, those are two extremely low health bars, and it was interrupted or canceled by Frez. Opted not to go for it. That sucked right there, to say the least, for St. Clair. Okay.
Taunt Flash coming from Frez. It looks like that should be a kill onto Tanks. It is. But it looks like he's trading as well on the other side of the map.
And doesn't even need the Mystic shots. He can fire them around like they're warning shots. The auto attack going to secure. And once again, as soon as Nini shows up bot, our bot lane is completely slaughtered once again. So, couple misplays here for St. Clair, really starting to bite them now.
They still aren't that far behind though, and Kindred is getting some counter jungling off as well with the mark onto Nini's Grump as well. So that's very lucky for him as well.
I'm just still trying to wrap my head around the mid lane play, but mistakes.
Because
mistakes
of
are made.
How Yone's E works.
Oh, right, he doesn't get a choice to go back to it. He just goes back to it anyway.
He does not get a choice.
Right. Okay, so it's not as forehead as I had expected. If anything, it's a forehead caster moment. Feel free to abuse that one if you want, chat.
It's like I think it's because Yule tried to look for something with his E, like an engage, but then he just gets blasted by a triple Valiard.
Here I'm thinking it was going to happen
like
again, but
he's like,
not this time.
No. Yeah. He really didn't want to go back with being one shot from death, but he had no choice.
Yeah, here I am thinking it's like a LeBlanc thing where you get to choose. No, you don't get to choose. You just you're on a timer, and at the end of it, you go. I mean, the spot turret's finally going down, so a little bit of pressure finally starting to show up here from St. Clair. A little extra gold in their pocket.
It looks like Queenies know that that trick is on that Rift Herald.
It's killed. They're going to try and go for it. However, the flash might be forced to... Never mind, he's got a dash. He's good.
Coming back into the bot lane. Looks like St. Clair under their tower again. That poke from Wilson onto Lazi, leaving a very everlasting effect. It looks like Trick is caught out here.
Oh yeah, he's probably going to be going down here. You'll not
Gets
quite there
Buster
in
Shot
time.
out of his ulti.
Yeah, not bad there from Valier, and they're going to try and get out there. That is the ult coming down from Frez as well, but they're under turret. There's no aggression for it. This is going to allow Tanksys all the time in the world up in that top lane. Force Frez to walk back. I feel like there's a communication error happening somewhere in this St. Clair squad today, or at least in this third game, because some of this just doesn't seem like themselves.
Indeed. But very well played from Triple Valier though, knowing that his Buster Shot would knock Trick out of his ulti and give him the finishing blow onto Trick.
Yeah, of course, you stay in that thing, you'll never die.
For I think 5 seconds.
Yeah, for
or however long it lasts.
yeah, for a good chunk. Yeah, how do you manage that? Okay, just yeet them out of it, and you'll be fine. And that's exactly what Triple Valier did.
And Wilson opting to go for the safe route and going towards that Frozen Gauntlet second item. Protect himself from all the 80 damage that St. Clair have.
I mean, with the way this game kind of started, it might be actually wiser for Wilson to be more utility AD carry compared to pure damage. Because, I mean, Valier went up 3-0 already in this lane, has an Infinity Edge, and is only getting stronger. What can also help you but help them? Kiting. So, get the Gauntlet, and you're going to be saving not just yourself, but your other AD carries, possibly even offensively as well.
Oh my.
But meanwhile, as I talk about Valiard, it's going to be finally going down. Finally going down from Trick and Yule. Shutdown Gold's going over to Yule. And hopefully they can take that initial play and turn that into a comeback. But it's still pretty early to tell.
I won't be surprised to see a Death Dance built from Wilson.
Okay, they're just going to actually go for this. Now that Nini shows up, it just seems like everybody's dying instantly. A double for Nini.
Is also here as well.
Continuing the chase, and that Mystic shot by itself just felt like it chunked a quarter of the HP of that player, and it goes down.
Lazi just got obliterated for all of his HP, especially from
oh no
as well.
Okay, just wait it out, then pop Yoda. Oh, I almost
got the duck.
Almost got it.
Ooh.
This is a bit of a duel here, though. However, it's going to be going over to Tanksys. Was left alone, maybe not as ahead as normally is, but still overall ahead compared to his fellow top laner. And Tanksys and Queen's University in general looking absolutely fantastic here in game number 3.
Tanksys has his major power spike with that Triforce, so he just does a ton of damage. Oh my! Wilson just eviscerates Miansfa.
So I look at the scoreboard for 1 second, and he just popped. And he gone. And unfortunately, I feel like "It's Gone" is going to be the name of this game very shortly, if Saints don't manage to turn something around quickly. Because, of course, unlike Fanshot, like I mentioned during game number 2, it seems like Queens have been doing a solid job of pushing their lead further and further as soon as they get it. They're not going to wait and be patient. And that's kind of what St. Clair needs at this point, is just a little bit of time to recuperate themselves, time to farm up and get themselves into the game. I mean, some of them aren't too far behind, but they're definitely behind compared to the counterparts on the opposite side here.
And as I said earlier, Wilson going for that Death Dance third item to make himself extremely hard to kill. And he's already hard enough to kill as it is already.
Yeah, he's already slippery enough, but these are going to make little trades like this absolutely brutal, nearly 1v2ing Amarillia, just kind of there for moral support. The life of a melee support. I want to help, but I can't reach. But yeah, that was just essentially Wilson all by himself getting almost 2.
He was frontlining as an ADC, and he can afford to. But it looks like Yule might get picked off here.
I mean, this is going to be the ult coming out from Frez, but of course, again, the misplay position with the E ability. Of course, not 100% sure what it's actually called, but it forced them to teleport right under the turret, took one more, and allowed Valier to get himself yet another elimination here today.
It looks like Frez managed to get his teleport out to save himself from getting picked off by Nini and Almarulia.
I mean, they're going to try and make a play here on tank assist, but we'll have to see. This Trick continues the pursuit for the time being. Finally, turn it around as all waves, all lanes just pushing in towards the St. Clair base.
I'm not particularly a big fan of Trick going for the Black Cleaver here, because the only tank that Queen's University has is that Leona.
Yep, and unfortunately, once again, Trick is going to be caught out in the jungle. Frez is there alongside him, trying to hang on for dear life, but Wilson going to finish him off. Frez is going to get shielded up by Mansfu, but it's not going to be enough if you get stunned once again. Wilson picking up a double. Lassie gets buffed up by Mansfu's ultimate ability, but it does not matter. That is going to be a triple for Wilson. They're going to keep this one pushing into the base. Amarillia leading the charge with the rest of the Queen's squad going pretty much all the way to the Nexus turrets. No cares in the world. They got all the damage, and they may only have...
Wilson.
That's a delayed Quadra. Nicely done there from Wilson to find that pick onto Mansfo. But this is absolutely brutal. They may only have the Leona as the tank. It seems like that's all they need. And Wilson finally going to get taken down as a bit of an overstay of his own welcome.
Wilson just overestimating how much he can take in terms of damage, but now looks like he finally finishes his death stance. Death. He died. Death stance. Ha ha ha.
That should be a prerequisite in order to get the item. You could only purchase it upon death. Probably not. But at least small victories, I guess, here for St. Clair. Okay, I was kind of worried about that shot there from Nini, but they do manage to get themselves a dragon, so they're at least tied up on 2 dragons apiece. And of course, with 2 inhibitors down, it seems dire, but again, I don't want to call this curtains just yet here for St. Clair.
But just reevaluating or relooking at Queens' team again, the Black Cleaver coming from Trick is actually pretty good, considering that that Wilson opted to go out for the tankier route with the Frozen Fist and the Death Stance, and the Tabbies as well.
That's fair. Now Baron Asher up on the board and possibly going to sneak this in under St. Clair's noses. It feels like they're going that way, but at the same time, I don't know if they know this is happening. The ward, I guess, would have spotted it out. Yes, okay, they know what's happening. But can they shut this down, however? Just about 5,000 HP. Yule's going to hop in and out, try to slow him down a little bit. It does seem, for at least the time being, it's going to force Queens off the Baron, so at least slow them down a bit.
They didn't have vision of Trick, so they opted to back out of that Baron. But it looks like Saints is getting
they're going deep now
in the jungle.
It's actually a bit of a back and forth this time by St. Clair hanging on for dear life, but that was actually a huge buster shot, taking 2 of them on the side of St. Clair. Triple Valiard using that bazooka as if it's a shotgun, point blank with them. And that is a wipe. That is 2 inhibs and a bunch of minions. And that is the set here for Queen's University. Going to give St. Clair College their first loss of the preseason. GG, well played.
Yeah, Wilson has got so much gold under his belt that it just accelerated the game for them.
Here I am thinking it was going to be triple with the super hard carry. Meanwhile, like minutes later, all of a sudden, Wilson just shows up out of nowhere with a bunch of eliminations nice and quick. As we throw it back to us here to close on out. So it was bound to happen eventually. Queens.
I think your Discord broke on me.
My Discord broke on you. Oh dear. Gonna take a quick look at
Discord. I think my Discord broke.
Try that and see if it happens as we look to close out here. You hear me now?
Give me a...
Okay. But yeah, A match.
Well, that is odd timing, I guess.
That's all right. At least it happened at the very end. A match so dominant that it straight up broke our communication systems. It is what it is, but that's okay. Solid job, like I was saying, from Queen's University securing themselves the victory over St. Clair. It was a matter of time before St. Clair got their first loss, and that will do it from them. But before we close out, rather, want to take a look at the upcoming matches coming up here on the Saints Gaming CH channel. Of course, there's basically matches every day of the week for the most part.
That looks like fun.
It is an absolute blast coming up here. Starting tomorrow, the Collegiate R6 is going to be taking on their second week of regular season action. We took the win over University of Michigan last time. This time we're doing a matchup against Eastern Michigan University. Get to see if we can take care of that one. And then a lot of other leagues for some of the other teams start to get underway. Start of October gets absolutely crazy here for our Saints, as NACE is looking to get started on Monday. First matchup is against Kettering University. Then on Tuesday, NACE Rocket League begins. Doubleheader, 2 best-of-5s back-to-back that night. Kish Cougars and Peacock Esports. Not 100% sure which schools they represent. I will definitely know by that date. But still, a doubleheader of Rocket League? That sounds like a lot of fun. Then Wednesday, the UCEA Overwatch preseason continues. Thursday, TESPA Hearthstone Open Division, they have themselves another regular season match. Had a bit of a rough start on Monday. They had another match while this one was going on. Be sure to follow our social medias to see how those matches ended up going. And then Friday, once again, we're back at some Collegiate R6. And then to wrap up what I have here right now, at least, the UCEA Rocket League squad get underway. And pretty much all seasons are a go for the most part, exception of Call of Duty, which happens later in October. Now, Tommy, can you hear me now, by chance?
Yeah, I've been hearing for a good 30 seconds now.
Okay.
Thank you, Discord, for dying on us in this precious moment of timing.
It's all good. I was saying that the Queen's win was so dominant it killed our communication systems. But it is what it is. So just quickly go over that one. So it looks like St. Clair were having a fun time down bot initially, and something just turned. Like, what happened this game?
I think it's just that one misstep that that Lazia Mienzo had that caused him to fall behind with Lazia not having flash or cleanse. And that gave the Leona free reign to just walk up and engage on Lazia.
Absolutely, and they soon as a couple minutes happened, and then Nini also came around and started supporting that bot lane. It was just it was a hard time for St. Clair from there, and they were able to make that aggressive bot lane do exactly what they wanted to do. Give themselves the lead, and they took it. They ran with it. It was also props to Valyard and Tanxis and Nini, of course. All props to the Queen's University squad. Tanxis actually got left alone essentially for the most part this game. Held his own completely, still managed to be a factor at the end. May not have been as crazy as Valyard or Wilson, but was still absolutely effective. And then Nini, no deaths at all this game, 3 eliminations, 10 assists. The absolute supporter. And then Emerulia, who is getting absolutely abused in these first couple games, may have 0 limbs, 0 deaths, 13 assists that game. So the support structure here from Queens was absolutely fantastic this game, and it was good to see. And we look forward to seeing them again in the actual OPSE season, which should be starting somewhat soon. I think it's in October that it does start. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then
Last time I checked, it does start sometime in October.
Okay. And then St. Clair, unfortunately, this third game was definitely a rough one, but it had to happen eventually. And live and learn. They'll get back to the drawing board, I'm sure. We'll see yous, I believe, next week for another preseason match, unless there's another match on top of it. Oh, how quickly. I just had my schedule up and I forgot already. But it is what it is. But Tommy, I once again want to thank you big time for coming and commentating here with me for these OPSE preseason matches. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yep, not a problem.
Of course, that's Tommy Kui Akutaikin on Twitter. Be sure to follow him and keep up with all things League of Legends squad as well. And of course, closing out, my name is Daniel Banner, producer here for the Saints Gaming CA stream. I will see you tomorrow for the Legit R6 match. And one last time before we do completely close out, just thank those sponsors once again, because of course, without them, we would not be a thing in the slightest. So thank you, St. Clair College, St. Clair SRC, the Alumni Association, the Zuckelman School of Business and Information Technology, PC Outlet, and Tim Hortons. Thank you guys so much, and thank you all at home for tuning in. It was a pleasure having you all casting for everybody. And it's been a lot of fun these past few days, and we're only getting started. So, follow if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.